This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Woods, and this is Let's Quilt, episode number 28. In this episode, we're going to take a trip to Northern California, and we're going to visit a friend, Karole, and she's going to show us her quilting studio. Hi, I'm back again, and I'm visiting my friend Karole. Karole is another quilter, and she has a whole different perspective on what we have been doing. Now, Karole has made this beautiful, crazy quilt. Tell us a little bit about the quilt, Karole.
Well, it started out because of all of these samples of embroidery that I had made as I was designing patterns and trying to come up with ideas for things that I could sell. I had a big stack of embroidery patterns and decided to sew them together into a quilt.
So this is a crazy quilt that has gone crazy. I mean, it is fabulous. We have the, what's that, the moon?
The sun and the moon.
The sun and the moon and the stars. Where is that rooster that I saw?
Oh, here's one here, a Petaluma
Rooster.
Rooster.
There's a Petaluma Rooster. And then you have something special in here, the first outfits that you and your husband wore when they met.
These are the actual clothing that we wore on our first date. And I had to get permission from my husband to cut them up, and I made a special square. And I had actually constructed most of the quilt by the time I made that square, so I had to deconstruct it in order to put that in a good spot.
How sweet. Hi, Karole. We've talked about and looking at your beautiful, crazy quilt. How did you get interested in this?
Well, I've always liked to sew ever since I was little. But I only started quilting in about 2003, and really the reason I did it is because of my mom. And she's been a quilter for years and years and years, and I just thought how nice it would be if we could share that. And I thought, since I like to sew anyway, you know, like, how hard could it be? And I discovered it can be very hard.
Yes, not as easy as it looks.
Right, but it's really a lot of fun.
And has that happened? Is she interested in sharing more with you too?
Yes, and we've started making some quilts together, long distance, where she'll make half the blocks and I make half, and then we sew them together.
Oh, fun.
It's kind of fun.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. And you are a teacher.
Right, I'm actually a mathematics teacher at a local university.
So I think that makes the quilting mathematics maybe a little bit easier for you, does it?
Possibly. It makes me more aware of my imperfections, unfortunately.
Okay, Karole, we can't help but see this beautiful quilt with the kitty cats on it. Tell us about it.
Well, this is a quilt top that my mother made, and she just sent it to me probably about a month ago, with the instructions to embroider the faces, put it all together and quilt it, and keep it. It was a gift for me from my mom.
How cute. So we have some kitty cats from the back, some from the front, smiling. This one's kind of smirking, wouldn't you say? This is just adorable. And you quilted it all.
Yes, I did.
Now we're going to look at Karole's mid-arm, is that what it's called?
Yes, it is.
Quilting, the actually quilting machine. And as you can see, it's quite wide here. She's got enough space here to put the quilt through as she's sewing, and then she's got a drop off here for the quilt to be.
This is the mid-arm. I wanted the long arm. It was very expensive, and I didn't really have the space. And I took this as kind of the intermediate step. Start with the mid-arm, see if I like to do the quilting. Right. You can always add a frame later. Sure. And it's the frame that's really the big expense. And once you get the frame, you can always upgrade the machine. So.
Yeah, so this is something that people might want to think about. If they want to do their own quilting on a fairly good sized quilt, this would handle it.
Let me me show you how I get some of the inspiration for my quilting from real life. Now, these are pictures.
Is this a carpet? What is this?
Yes, actually, this is the carpet in a hotel room that we stayed at.
Uh-huh.
And I like the swirls on it.
That's beautiful. And you've mimicked this somewhere else.
Right, on this sample right here, you can kind of see the swirls, and I was trying a lot of different ways to connect them, trying to do different angles.
Sure, that's beautiful.
And then this is actually a tabletop at a rustic coffee shop up in Northern California, and I just loved the way the wood was inlaid with that vine. And so I was trying with this sample to
oh, you can see that.
Try different kinds of vines and translate it into an all-over pattern.
Now, when Karole is doing this, she is doing this by freehand. She doesn't have a computer that's doing it for her. So you can see how intricate it is for somebody. And she's going to give us a sample of how she does that. Oh, here's this is the jigsaw.
This is so simple. It's just stitching in two directions, but instead of doing straight stitching, just do the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle one way and then come back and do the same thing the other way.
Oh, here's some more.
This is kind of unusual because it's actually the door of a bathroom. And it just had such a wonderful swirly idea that I couldn't quite translate it to quilting, but I'm trying.
That's good.
And then this is another carpet.
Another carpet.
And that is this one.
This one. Well, that turned out beautiful. That's great. Okay, Karole, I think this is fascinating how you have done this. And let me ask you, how are you getting these photographs?
I actually take the pictures with my iPhone.
It's great. That is great. So you're in a hotel room or in a bathroom or wherever it catches your eye to film it. That's a great idea, and then you have it. Okay, Karole, why don't you show us a little bit on how this works, okay?
Sure. Okay, so when I'm doing this, I'm using the free motion foot on the sewing machine. This machine only does a straight stitch up and down, and so I had to cover the feed dogs. And that way I move the fabric myself. And so a couple important things I think about are to try to move the fabric at the same rate and get the stitches uniform. Because you are making the stitches, don't let go of the quilt until you stop sewing. Because it'll slip and you'll get a really long stitch at the end. And you'll notice I'm wearing attractive rubber gloves. And that keeps the quilt moving steadily, and I don't have to grip. You know, that's really hard on the hands. Now, as I'm working, I'm just picturing in my mind the pattern I want to get. This is kind of a swirly pattern. So this is what I just quilted.
Thanks for having us in your sewing room, Karole. It has been really nice being here with you and showing us how you can quilt away.
Well, thanks for coming, Helene.
It's been fun. Wasn't that interesting, visiting with Karole and her showing us how her medium arm quilting machine works? And she does beautiful work. Let me show you what I've been working on for our next episodes. We're going to be making a table topper. We would be joined by my friend Robin, who was on one of my previous shows, and we'll be making a table topper called Mexicali Rose. So until then,